Netriya Upanishad, we were on page, mine is page 15 for introduction, but yours may be a couple of pages later.
It's 18.
18.
I think it's 18.
Yeah, the paragraph that we're going to start with is this great Upanishad. Consists of 6 sections. That's where we were. Okay, so I'm going to do the prayer.
On one of the books, Samaji, is page 19.
Page 19. Okay, this great Upanishad consisting, that's what? Okay.
Yeah, that paragraph is on 19.
Okay, all right, so that's what it is. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karva Vahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, who would like to read from there? Any volunteers?
I can read them.
Okay, Narishi.
This great Upanishad, consisting of the 6 sections, otherwise called the Atma Sakta, tries to indicate the eternal principle in and through its manifestations by the familiar method of superimposition and negation, technically called in Sanskrit as aropa and apavada.
Upward. Arop and upward.
Upward. The technique is the same as that which we follow in pigmenting slides for observation under the microscope. In trying to observe the study, is trying to observe and study the size, shape, and arrangement of the cells in a particular specimen. The slide is generally pigmented by some coloring material so that the margins of the cell may clearly be traced out for the observer. The observer, though he sees the color, understands it only as a convenience which he has deliberately thrown upon a specimen for the purpose of efficient observation and study.
Sometimes I wonder how come Swamiji knows even about what's going on in labs. This is what probably Bharat's lab did this kind of stuff. You know, it's like we're learning about how the lab procedures now. Why he's saying that there are certain things you have to do. It may not be directly related to it, but it helps us to understand. That's the whole idea, that they put some color. Color is not important, but without that color, they won't be able to see. That's what it is. Like I was just, if you want to observe like sun through the telescope, aankhein jal jayegi, baba. You gotta put some filter there. See that? The filter is actually just a medium to see. That's how it is. So he's coming to a point. In this Upanishads, there is a particular sequence of theory of creation. Okay? In the end, they are going to say that it can be many different theories, so don't get disturbed by it. Don't start fighting. अरे उधर तो मैंने कुछ और ही सुना था. You saw even in the Christianity, they have the theory of creation. The Bhagwan created the whole universe in 7 days or something. I don't know all the details, but whoever studies a little bit of Christianity, it's there. So then, हमारे में तो ऐसा बोलते हैं, तुम्हारे में तो कुछ और ही है, ये है, वो है, And the interesting thing is, last Sunday in my 10th grade, when Bhagwan started saying to Arjuna in verse 11 of chapter 2, he started the Geeta, the Gyan, the Atma Gyan. Huh? So he takes him to the highest. He says, you should not be grieving because we are eternal. So, how to kind of teach them eternal. So we have to bring it to their level and all that, and what is infinity, this, that, and all that. So then they started having a discussion among themselves. Chicken came first or egg came first? It's a very common thing, right? दिमाग ही घूम जाएगा because you cannot decide, right? So they थोड़ी देर तक तो वो लोग क्या कहते हैं, मैं बोला अच्छा, why don't you think of it this way now, that chicken and egg, there is something even above that, and that entity can throw either a chicken or can throw even an egg in there. Doesn't matter. He has the capacity, but it is not like a linear thing. कि वो कुछ चक्कर चल रहा है and that's it, as though you are just stuck in that. No, there is something beyond that we don't think about, you know. But I'm saying even in this universe, ये कहाँ से आया, you know, because oh, there was a beginning and there was an end, and that's how we think. No, it's a cycle, but controller of the cycle is something else. That's what that, and they okay, I said go home and think about it, because it's not that easy. But if you just stay in chicken and egg, you will never find the answer. Do you guys agree? Because it both look valid. Who will decide what it is? Similarly, over here, they are saying the theory of creation, because this is how it is. Something from what angle you see, you might see another. It doesn't mean that all theory is false or anything, not even like that. But for example, if there is a tree standing there and 10 people are looking at that tree, they will describe it differently. Right? Somebody will focus on, you know, how the seed was there, how this green, it became green. Third one will write some poetry. It's talking about the same tree, but all of them are correct. And you know, you cannot say that one person's definition defines everything also. That also is wrong, because there are so many aspects to it. Same way, theory of creation. He's going to explain that when the masters look at it, they express it with their own mind and own understanding. That's why those theories become different. But that's how they are looking at it. That's all. But in the end, all the creation is superimposition only. So the reality, it's a relative reality. I think I like the word what Tejo Anandji used for the world. He said, you cannot say it is completely false, because I'm experiencing it, so it cannot be completely false. So it's a relatively real, not absolute real. Absolute is that Brahman. So then your mind becomes a little shant. Okay, now I understand what the context is. Otherwise, it's very difficult. So, and arop and apwad is the same thing, like snake and the rope. So the rope is there, and उसके ऊपर हम snake को आरोप करते हैं, उसके ऊपर superimposition करते हैं. But then we realize that it is just fake. It's not real. अपवाद हो जाता है. It's not true, like that. So these two words are Sanskrit word, but it's the same concept in English. Non-apprehension and misapprehension, they call it. Non-apprehension, I'm not seeing the rope, so it is non-apprehension. I'm not apprehending the rope. And then my mind start imagining and I superimpose upon it. And that's misrepresentation or misapprehension, they call it.
Uma ji, so when we say कि उस पे आरोप लगा दिया, right? Accusing somebody. Is that the same thing?
Well, the way they use it's a very negative thing over here. But in the Vedanta, when they say arop, उसका meaning थोड़ा deeper meaning है. For example, you know, sometimes अभी ये Halloween में अभी all the kids are all भूत प्रेत ये वो. Sometimes they might look at a pole outside and they say, oh, that looks like a ghost. You know? So ghost उस पे आरोपित किया गया है, वो है नहीं actually. That's the idea over here. So when we say किसी पे आरोप लगाना, तो वो उसका meaning वैसा ही है कि उसने किया नहीं है पर उस पे आरोप लग रहा है. People are झूठा मूठा बोल रहे हैं, जब वो when they realize कि उसने बेचारे ने किया ही नहीं ऐसा, तो वो आरोप चला जाता है. Right? Same way, the word, yeah, same meaning है. Yeah. Okay. You can go further.
In almost all the elaborate theories of creation described from time to time in Upanishads, the main aim of the master was to superimpose the creation upon the truth, and later on through a total negation of it to indicate its substratum, the truth. When the ghost is seen, the deluded person cannot have at the same time even a vague perception of the post behind. When the ghost has been negated, the post becomes easily evident and quite clear.
So that's how he's explaining that these elaborate theory of creation are described from time to time to superimpose the creation upon the truth, because if you directly tell somebody the truth, they won't understand it. Somebody is screaming, there's a snake, there is a snake, and if वो इतना डरा हुआ है और उसको बोलेगा कि वो रोप है तो वो मानेगा ही नहीं. बोलेगा तुम, if you don't do something right now, I'm going to die or something. Anyway, so why this is happening? When the ghost has been seen, the deluded person cannot have the same time awake perception of the post, because he's seeing the ghost and the post, same thing, snake and the thing. So because he's not seeing the post, you cannot do anything with that person. But the ghost has to be negated. Finally, if you can convince him that hey, this ghost is not there and all that, फिर उसको वो post दिखाई देगा. It's like a movie on the screen. As long as the movie is on, we don't see the screen. We don't even think about it. But and you, हम लोग वैसे भी खो जाते हैं movies में, real लगने लगता है. तभी that's why we start crying and having all those emotions. We forget it is, and then we have to get reminded, hey, this is just a play of light. There is a screen behind it. Once I know there is a screen, okay, this is all false. Just a movie. The same idea. So basically, they are going to say that they will play along with everybody, because everybody has a curiosity of how the world came about, why it came about, blah, blah, blah. What was the first thing happened? What is the second thing happened? They will tell all those things. But the idea is, in the end, to negate all that and go to that reality. That's the whole idea.
Some of our friends in the West, who with a slight study of Sanskrit boast themselves to be the students of the wisdom of the East, have made honest efforts to understand the immortal lore of the Upanishads of the Hindus. At the end of it all, they have come to feel a despairing sense of confusion and have cried out their despair in their seemingly wise declarations that intuition is not dependable instrument of knowledge. Since the rishis of India have not been able to give one unanimous theory of the creation of the world, they find as many as same 30 different theories of creations propounded by various masters of the literatures of the Upanishads. And when there is more than one description of the same object from different observer, then it is only their instrument of perception that would be different. Some Western critics, therefore, have chosen to underestimate the reliability of the power of intuition. The
Jnana.
Gyan.
Yeah.
How do you? Because
So yeah, this whole thing is called transliteration. That they have created this transliteration for the people who don't know how to read Sanskrit, because the students, when they come in America, they cannot read Sanskrit, right? So it's called transliteration, and there are some rules. So वो तो ज्ञ को ना ऐसे J और N और ऊपर line होती है. So you have to understand the transliteration to correctly say it. That's what it is. So when you read it like English, it will bomb it. You have to learn the transliteration, then you will be saying it correctly. So अब हमारे जो बाल विहार के बच्चे हैं ना, they get so good at transliteration, they can pronounce it exactly like Sanskrit, because they have created this English language with transliteration. That's what it is. So it's Jnana vision. Yeah.
So JN with a line would become GY?
Yeah, like you can say that. The way you pronounce it will be Jnana. Thoda sa nasal thing. Because there's some people in like Gujarat and Maharashtra and all, they don't say, हम लोग north में बोलते हैं ज्ञान, right? वो लोग बोलते हैं ज्ञान, like that. We say ज्ञान, vision. So this one, Swamiji, every time he trying to explain the Western commentaries, because a lot of people in the academic world go by, oh, this person did PhD in this Bhagavad Gita, now he's going to, or Upanishad, and now he's going to do commentary, but there कुछ flaws आ जाते हैं उसमें, and कुछ तो cultural बोलो, because sometimes I see some things also like I'm not criticizing anybody, but I'm telling the facts how I saw it. Like in one time in Hare Krishna, this person they are Bhakti Vedanta, right? But our Indian mind is different. We see bhakti, we see gyan, we don't think it is so different. It's just that after studying Bhagavad Gita, that is their path, it's going to lead you to the same place. So we cannot say this guy is better, that guy is not so good, or that guy is all false and this guy is good, No, there are different paths. So this person must have heard J. Krishnamurti. I don't know if any one of you have read about this. Jay is a realized soul, definitely. His way of expressing is so different. And, I don't know how, whoever has read his thing, but if you study Bhagavad Gita, you will understand him also completely. I don't think that Bhagavad Gita really opens your mind. This guy said, I started reading it and I got so confused and I said, no, this is all bakwas. It is all jambal bumble, And then I met Prabhupada and everything. So maybe that's what's good. But it doesn't mean that J. Krishnamurti's everything is bakwas. You just don't understand what he's saying. Because he has a different kind of mind. Some people understand him. See what I'm trying to say? So same way here, in what he are trying to say, that the Western people, they get confused because if you take, there are 200 and whatever, 300 Upanishads they found, right? When they analyzed it, there were 30 different kinds of theories. So then they say, oh, they are just all confused people. They don't know what they're saying. No, that's not true. As just I explained, same thing, somebody can look certain aspects in it, another one can look another aspect, all of them are true. With Gita translation also, all the great translators, they take a slightly different path in it. Somebody will give more heavy on Gyan, somebody will do more heavy on Bhakti, somebody will do a whole... so you cannot say, oh, others are all false, only this guy is correct. No, all of them are correct. So to me, expanding your vision and seeing it holistically, having respect for all the different masters is a much better way to go. And of course, you will connect with one of them more and you should follow that path, but doesn't mean that everything else is nonsense. That's what he's trying to bring, that just because there were different theories, they got confused, but what it is that it is their own intuitive power had become so strong, and when they came back from their intuitive theory, this is how they expressed it. That's all it is. So that's what we have to understand.
When a physicist, a poet, a musician, and a dull-witted fool all sleep, we know that in dreamless sleep, the experience of all is the same joy, and yet when they wake up and try to report and explain their experience, each will explain differently. To any sincere student, it will be clear on a closer analysis that through their words are different, the indicated joy of sleep is the same.
Yeah. So though their words are different, that's what it is. So now this example was given before also, by actually Nikhila Nanji, and it's a very great example that they believe, and this is true, think about it, in the deep sleep experience of everybody is the same. Because it's like a, kya bolna chahiye, experience of no experience in some ways. You're not experiencing body and mind and intellect in it, So it is like the consciousness is there, but you are not experiencing anything. Everybody is the same. You are in complete bliss at that time. I have to yet find another person who says, a deep sleep I don't like. We all crave to get that, not a disturbed sleep, not a dream wala sleep, because dream can disturb you. Deep sleep, even if you get 10 minutes of it, sometimes you feel so refreshed, you're closer to God. But anyway, point is, everybody experiences that deep sleep, but if you come and, hey, explain this deep sleep. So each person, whether physicist, poet, musician, dull-witted fool, sab alag-alag bolenge. That's what it is. And that same way, this theory of creation, they are expressing it. When that reality is there and something is superimposed upon it, they look at different angles and different ways. That's all it is.
So too these masters transcending through the process of meditation, their body, mind, intellect, and the world consciousness come to live the bliss of pure awareness. At that moment of God consciousness, to them there is only the greater and the diviner life eternal. When they later on come down to the body level, they alone try to explain. Naturally, their intellectual interpretation must be different from seer to seer, from prophet to prophet, from sage to sage, and the differences in their descriptions are the differences of texture of their intellectual capacities and previous mental habits of thought.
So he explained in much more detail now what there he's trying to say. You can't go anything more than that. Swami ji really बोलते हैं ना एकदम उसका पीस बना के सब कुछ बता दिया. You know that in the process of meditation, when they come to that highest level of pure awareness, in that moment of God consciousness, there is only one thing that everybody's experience is the same of that oneness. But after that situation, when they come down at the body level again to explain, then the explanations are going to be different. And even if you see the word, तभी तो बोलते हैं ना कि चलो हम लोग ने सभी ने किया हुआ है ऐसे लिखो होता था ना फोर्थ फिफ्थ सिक्स स्टैंडर्ड में एंड देन एक टॉपिक देते थे ऑन द मदर फिर सब लोग लिखते थे सबका ऐसे सेम होता था क्या सबकी everybody will write something different or write on dad or write on rain or write on something. If there are 50 students, there will be 50 different ways to approach it. Again, such a simple thing, but when it comes to this, everybody wants like a cookie cutter thing. Everything has to be like fixed and same, and people start fighting, or saying, oh, that person is all, hey, maybe you don't understand him. That's all it is, So that's how they're trying to say that everybody's intellectual capacity, mental habits are different. And that's why the saints and sages are never the same. You never see clones of them. Each one has different personalities. Like, and the funny thing is, जो उनके गुरु होते हैं ना वो भी उनसे opposite होते हैं एकदम. Like, Vivekanand ji's guru. He never went to school. He was a pujari, but a simple sa. He never went anywhere. And Vivekanand's personality, handsome looking, dynamic man, even Harvard got impressed with him, was giving him professorship and he didn't take it. You know what I'm saying? And even Chinmayananji and Tapovan Maharaj, different personalities. He just stayed in one place and Chinmayananji went all over the world, and I have not heard Tapovan Maharaj's voice, but I think I could just see that it's going to be soft and sweet. And Chinmayananji, when he spoke, roared like a lion. That's what they say. He was not bashful. Like, when he was talking about that, these people come and say, hey, Swami. He will tell all those things. They say, kabhi to chhod do Swami ko. Piche pade rehte hai. Like that. He was very rough and tough, And people liked his personality that way. So that's what they're saying. Different people, different thing, but talking about the same thing.
Does anybody else want to read? Otherwise,
Yeah, sure. Anil ji can read it if he's okay with it.
Otherwise, I can continue.
No, Anil ji can read. We can take a few.
All right. Again, the teachers were not at all anxious to give to the world a theory of creation, for they had experienced that the world of objects, emotions, and ideas is a distortion of truth produced when consciousness gets refracted while passing through the prism of body, mind, intellect. Theirs was the anxiety to help the anxious disciples who had reached them with a firm faith in the reality of life as perceived by them, and were seeking a remedy for the choking sense of finitude that they were experiencing in life. To declare to them the truth that in the infinite, the finite has no existence would be to frighten them away. The rishis wanted to cure the misunderstanding of the seekers rather than pulverize their spirit of inquiry by revelations too staggering to console, or to revive.
In the short, what Swamiji is saying, that when the students come, if you immediately tell them ये दुनिया तो सब इल्यूजन है, कुछ है ही नहीं, वो भाग जाएंगे बेचारे डर के मारे. I still remember, he said, my friend, Madhu from Houston, we didn't know anything much about Vedanta and all, and we joined the study group, right? And then there we learned, there were people who were there for a long time, so they knew the concept, we didn't. They said, oh, you are not the body. And she said, मेरा तो दिमाग ही खराब हो गया. मैं घर में गई, मैं बोला, I'm not the body. What is this? Who am I then? And now she herself is a Vedanta teacher over there. So that's what it is, that if you suddenly give them something, and they might get frightened away. So that's what it's saying, that this superimposition and all, धीरे धीरे बताना पड़ेगा, कि that's why they have to play along with them. And if you go back to chapter 3, there are whole section there that Bhagwan says how to become a good leader. Okay, so good leader ये नहीं कि हर जगह झंडा खड़ा हो के everybody is wrong and I am right, सब भगा देंगे तुमको. So जाके बोला, हाँ नहीं तुम ठीक कर रहे हो, हाँ तुम ठीक कर रहे हो, and then join them and then slowly start doing what they are doing, and then you turn बनाओ उसका धीरे धीरे उनको, तभी वो कुछ तुम अच्छे लीडर बन पाओगे. If you go there and सीधा revolution शुरू कर दोगे तो सब मार पीट के भगा देंगे तुमको भी. So he's saying, or he gave like our teacher used to give example, that if you are driving very fast on a freeway and you suddenly realize that you have missed your exit, do you suddenly hit the brake and turn around? You will cause an accident. So you slowly slow down, take a exit, make a U-turn. Same way it is. इनका भी यही किया इन्होंने. When the students come, they are very anxious, कि इनको ये सब real लगता है दुनिया, and they are facing so many problems and this and that. That time you cannot say, oh, there is a reality, ये तो सब, don't worry about it, they won't understand. Play along with them, tell them, how this world came about, dhire dhire, and then point out that reality. That's the whole idea. That's why इतना सब उन्होंने किया, because while reading the Upanishad, we should have that in mind when they are doing all these things.
Thus, the rishis carefully studied each student, and according to the type that reached them, they gave an analytical enumeration or a synthetic theory of how from the infinite, eternal reality, the finite world of perceptions rose up. Each explanation has a false charm which can satisfy the restlessness of a particular type of a student. When the student is thus harbored in a seeming phase of satisfying inner peace from his own agitating doubts regarding the how of the creation, the seers prepare their disciples for a greater and permanent cure.
So he's talking about, how there are a lot of people who are like, Asha ji and maybe Urmil ji and all that, and even my husband, they have been teachers, professors, and things like that. You change your lecture according to the people who are listening to you, correct? Students be. You have to custom design your class. If most of the students are very analytical and all that, then you got to give them a lot of, like I've been doing Bal Vihar classes, each class is different. So I have to come up with, hey, these kids will understand this one, or you understand their personalities, dheere se. Okay, because if you tell one way to one kid, he won't listen. If you say another way, he will. See what I'm saying? And even with the kids, we may have to, each one have at least 2 kids we have, then each one is different. सबको एक लकड़ी से नहीं हाँका जा सकता, right? You have to, एक को एक तरह से discipline करो, दूसरे को दूसरे से करो. Exactly same concept over here, that, that depending on the type. So when you see this Upanishad, there was a conversation between 2 people. Who is that other person? उसके हिसाब से वो उसको remedy बताएगा. That's why he has to change sometime also. Besides how each person is going to present according to their own mind, But within that person also, he will change different things for different students. That's what we have to see. It's like how we deal with different people, depending on their personality, what they will listen to. That's the point he's trying to bring over here. Each explanation has a false charm which can satisfy the restlessness of that particular student. And then, जब उसका मन शांत हो जाएगा, थोड़ा agitating doubt कम हो जाएंगे, then you go further. If a person is very restless, he won't be able to listen. It's like Arjuna. Arjuna didn't want to listen to Krishna Bhagwan at all. तो उसका थोड़ा मन शांत हुआ, फिर कृष्ण भगवान ने उसको थोड़ा डांटा, तो फिर और शांत हुआ, फिर वो सुनने को तैयार हुआ. Same way.
Krishna Bhagwan only gave him discourse that he could understand at that time.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And then also he told him that, there is Gyan, Bhakti, Karma, everything is there. He said, you are right now fit to do Karma Yoga.
Right.
That's why you have to go and fight. अगर वो इसका इतने already इतना वैराग्य वगैरह होता, he didn't need to be a soldier. He could be a sadhu, sitting and doing it. But he's saying that अभी तू तैयार नहीं है वो सब करने के लिए. So उसकी personality के हिसाब से. और the reason Bhagavad Gita is so close to our heart because हम भी वो सब अर्जुन जैसे ही हैं. हमारी टीचर बोलती थी, तुम जाके तुमको बोलो कि कोने में बैठ जाओ 3 घंटा, तुम लोग बैठ सकते हो? 15 मिनट में तुम लोग वो हो जाओगे, मेरे को ये करना है, वो करना है कि नहीं? How many people can just sit quietly for hours and hours? But agar some people who are that type, then there is a different path for them. That's what true. What you say.
So, Umaji, in this Upanishad, so who were they telling at that time?
There was that
disciples?
remember there was a Mahidas who wrote this. Remember that story we saw that of Itra and all that. So he's saying Mahidas, when he was saying this, that is student and teacher. So Mahidas ki students hoenge. He became a teacher himself, but his background was such that maybe the students who were his students at that time could understand that language because he must be going in his own community and talking about it. So then they understand the language of the slums, वो सब जो बताया था स्वामी जी ने. It is a very high concept. And, like we have some swamis in our Chinmaya mission who can talk to very intellectual people a different language. And somebody who doesn't know Vedanta at all, they can also communicate to him in a very simple way, few things. Tejavanand ji has that kind of art. वो ना मतलब if you sit in his lecture, वो हंसाते भी बहुत हैं इतना, but उस हंसाने के आपने सुना होगा तो आपको पता होगा, he will give such jokes and then उसके पीछे कुछ बहुत अच्छा meaning होता है, and by the time you come out हंसते हंसते हमको वेदांता समझ में आ जाता है, like that I used to say that it was just amazing. So they have all those skills how to communicate. So that's what they are talking about, that over here. Yeah.
So do you, Umaji.
No, I don't know about that. I try.
These theories of creation have an intrinsic capacity in them, not only to lull the suffocating restlessness of the questioning intellect, but to open up 1,000 new vistas of original thought, which, left to themselves, they would never have come to explore.
So he's just saying that these methods, that it's a very scientific kind of method, that intellect is एक question पूछो तो फिर उसका answer दो तो there are many others who come out और confused हो जाते हैं. Like in the world, people say, no, the more I know, the more I feel I don't know anything. Lot of these people, क्या बोलते हैं, Nobel laureates and all, they will make those kind of statement that it's like a Mahasagar. So you have to think little out of the box, okay? But here they're just saying that this method, in the end, all those questions will get answered all at once when they get realized. Remember, I think it was Vivekanand ji who said it beautifully. He said, questions are always on the side of ignorance. Once you get enlightened, no more questions, That's it's something like if I just hear theories, I'm gonna have many questions. But if I experience it myself, something, it's done. Even a simple thing like I don't know this one particular food how it tastes, and people are describing it and saying it this that, and I've said, is it kadava, is it meetha? I'm asking question, where did it come from? Then I taste it myself. Now I know it. I don't even need any. I'm done. You know, the same way there. That's where they are trying to bring them to. First, satisfy their curiosity. Their man shant ho gaya. They will experience it themselves. Then they will not have any questions.
In every theory, there are one or two, sometimes even more, inconsistency or missing links which are so beautifully clothed in the melodious beauty of the narrations that the listeners, moving upon the mellifluous wings of music of the passages, never suspect them.
इट्स लाइक जो गाने वाले होते हैं ना या बजाने वाले होते हैं, अगर उन्होंने कोई गलती भी कर दी तो वो ऐसे ट्रिक से उसको छुपा देंगे कि हमको पता ही नहीं चलेगा, राइट, कि उन्होंने कुछ गलती किया. वो लोग को मालूम है कि हमने गलती की है, लेकिन हम लोग को नहीं मालूम है. सेम वे से दैट इन दिस थियरीज, और उसकी बाल की खाल निकालने लगो तुम तो तुमको शायद इनकन्सिस्टेंसी मिल जाएगी, मगर इट इज़ कैमोफ्लेज इन सच अ नाइस वे, स्मूथ वे, you know, that you may not even see it, and you will say, okay, now I'm satisfied. And that's what they want. They want you to be just, your mind to become shant, you know.
Later on, the sages took up their discourses, allowing their disciples to follow close to their heels, conducted them up the mountains, down the dales, and along the water's edge in the landscape of philosophy. As efficient guides, they brought them suddenly out of the confusing jungles of intellectualism into the open fields of spiritual truth. On reaching there, the students discover for themselves the fallacy of their own doubts, the meaningless of their problems and academic questions, the purposelessness of their intellectual quest that they had sought so far.
Swami Ji ने पूरी poetry लिख दी. I think he's also telling from his own experience, because I when I read his biography and all that, when he went, he had two gurus, you know. One was क्या नाम था उनका, तो पहले वालों का, शिवानंद जी, राइट, हाँ, शिवानंद जी के पास जब गए तो उन्होंने इतने क्वेश्चन लेके गए थे वो, और मतलब whoever knows the story, वो he thought कि ये सारे साधु संत ना सब ढोंगी होते हैं, उनका पर्दाफाश करने के लिए गए थे वो एक्चुअली. सो उन्होंने, ही वाज अ जर्नलिस्ट, उन्होंने खूब सारे क्वेश्चन लगा रखे होंगे. एंड शिवानंद जी, यू नो, ही सेड, यू वांट टू आस्क क्वेश्चन, जल्दी क्या है, स्टे हियर, सच अ ब्यूटीफुल प्लेस, थिंक ऑफ इट एज अ वेकेशन, 2-3 दिन रह जाओ थोड़ा सा वो, एंड देन यू आस्क मी क्वेश्चंस. So he thought, ठीक है, he's on a business trip and he can, you know, stay there for a few days. And when he stayed and he started observing him, then he saw a different side of Shivanand. He said, ये ढोंगी तो नहीं लग रहा है ये. He looks such a hard-working man and he's trying to do all this good stuff. And then still he asked a lot of questions. And Shivanand answered with a lot of, you know, patience. And then he had gone there for a few days and he ended up staying for months over there. That's what happened. Same way, so he's saying that this is what the master is doing with his students. They're keeping them close and, you know, taking them to all through, and then suddenly taking them out in the open fields and, you know, say, yeah, experience karo. And then the student themselves realize that, oh, I had so many silly questions and, you know, now I have all the answers. And apne ko bhi aisa hi hota hai, like, if you think about it, that we have so many questions, and then when something dawns upon us, and we say, okay, now I see it, you know, and then with that one answer, many other questions get finished, you know, with one kind of truth. So that's what it is.
The teacher, in his fulfillment, looks with joy into the sparkling eyes of his students, The grateful eyes of these students look into the serener depths of the teacher's truthful eyes. Both come to understand each other. The teacher's look pleads, "What can I do? I had to charm you with an elaborate story of creation." The students look gratefully accept. Yes, we do realize how foolish our doubts were and how you were compelled to treat our stupidity with such a severe antidote in the form of a faith.
Yeah. So he's just saying that it's just a poetic way of explaining that once the students get the picture themselves, and then they realize that what tricks the teacher was trying to use, and when they become a teacher, they will use the same tricks. Right?
It's amazing flowery language, Omaji.
I know, but it's such a poetic way, but you get the gist, like what he's trying to do. Amazing, amazing. And I remember that there were a few stories about Chinmayananji, that when he was trying to learn Vedanta from his teacher and all that, and sometimes he will tell him, the teacher will teach him in a very strange way. And one of the stories, and I think maybe you, Meena ji and Sushil ji, have heard that, what is the role of like a mind, body, intellect, that we experience all this world and all that. So वो समझाने के लिए ना, Guru, Chinmayananji was asking some questions about it and all that. So Guru said, "Pani leke aao." So then he brought the water in a glass. So he's saying, मैंने बोला ना पानी लेके आओ. So डर गया, क्यों डांट रहे हैं मुझे, एंड काफी डांटा वाटा उसको. तो वो बोला, मैं पानी तो लाया हूँ. नहीं, तुम ग्लास लाए हो. I cannot bring pani without the glass. I have to give him some. So you see, that is the role of this body. Okay, you're trying to experience God. You need some medium, So and then, but in the end, when you drink the water, are you drinking the glass? He said no. See that? If we want to drink water, we cannot just drink like that. So we need a glass, a medium, but then you have to drop that medium. You cannot. So same way, saying to experience God, we need body, mind, and intellect. But in the end, you got to drop it. You can to experience that. So that's how he used to teach him. So this is the same way that you have to use different tricks. So here, there, and finally, Swamiji must have thought, oh, all these questions I was asking, they were silly, but I'm glad he kind of helped me this way. So that's what the students are doing. That now I understand, and now I understand why you did what you did. So anyway, any question, comment? I think Swamiji ने इतना अच्छे से सब कुछ समझा दिया. Now when we go forward, we will take it much better way, right? Yeah. Okay, so no comment, no question. Next week, most likely I'll have to cancel the class because I have something to. I have to help my son, with something, who has 2 kids. So he has some commitments and all that in the morning. So I will put it over there, but just to give you an idea. वैसे भी दिवाली वाला week है.
It's a New Year's Day. Yeah, it's a New
Yeah,
Year's
right. So people may be busy. So
Yeah.
why don't we just cancel it then the next week?
Right,
We
yeah,
call it
so you don't
Diwali
have-
holiday. Everybody
Diwali
enjoy
holiday,
with their
right.
family, friends, and festivities, and so we will meet after that. Huh?
For 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All right. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay, we'll meet in
Hari
2
Om,
weeks.
everyone.
Hari Om. Have a
Hari
great
Om,
2 weeks,
Hari Om.
and happy Diwali to everyone.
Happy Diwali.
Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali.
Hari Om, everybody.